The annual meetings of the Board of Governors of the African Development Bank and the 50th meeting of the Board of Governors of African Development Fund comprise member states' invitation-only session, closed bilateral meetings, as well as events open to all attendees, including the press. They provide a forum of bank group governors to share their experiences with managing a mounting burden of public debts, which has surged following the global economic shocks of the last few years. Also likely to be high on the agenda is the lack of climate finance for African priorities and the high cost of capital to invest in sustainable infrastructure for green growth and a just energy transition. The annual meetings provide an opportunity for reflection on the African Development Bank Group's commitment to accomplishing its mission of developing the African continent and improving the life of its people.
The African Development Bank Group strongly supports African economies. In 2023, our financing totaled $10 billion across all of our high-five priorities: to light up and power Africa, to feed Africa, to industrialize Africa, to integrate Africa, and to improve the quality of life of the people of Africa. These high fives, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, are the accelerators of Africa's development. The bottom line is that the African Development Bank delivers.
President William Ruto's settlements at the meeting come as a pleasant surprise to the African Development Bank delegation, with Kenya committing to deepen its shareholding in the institution, the president making a 13.2 billion shilling. President Ruto raised his push for a substantial replenishment of the African Development Fund by at least 25 billion USD to increase its capacity to continue providing concessional finance to the least developed African countries.
What we are saying is we need a financial architecture that has the following characteristics. Number one, long-term financing. 40 years, grace period, 10 years, or something in that order. Number two, low interest rates, concessional financing, including, where possible, grants. Number three, we also need financing at scale. The quantum is very important. And then number four, we also need financing that is agile, that is flexible, especially that responds, that is climate sensitive.
Sentiment is echoed by Rwanda's President Paul Kagame as the push for reform of the global financial architecture intensified.
We are talking about the architecture of, international financial architecture. Therefore, in mind, we have the architects. So what did the architect have in mind when they provided us with the architecture we have to deal with? They must have had their own interests. They must have framed things the way they wanted to benefit themselves, or maybe we can assume that they wanted to benefit the whole world. Now, we are here discussing the situation as it is, where we find there are enormous resources in this world.
The annual meetings of the African Development Bank Group comprise statutory meetings of governors and knowledge events. Attendees will include representatives from bilateral and multilateral development agencies, leading academics and non-governmental organizations, civil society, and the private sector. The meetings are the bank's group's most important event annually, attracting around 3,000 participants. They allow the organization to take stock of progress with its shareholders.